Good morning. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Paul Harrell program. We got a lot to get to. We're going to get to Democratic primary results out of Michigan. We also have, obviously, our lead story is what John Thune said the other day, essentially saying, hey, look, you know what? I'm basically just a bureaucrat. I think that's really what's going on here. Our politicians have become bureaucrats, and all they can do is basically explain the red tape, explain why things can't happen, and yet the American people are the ones that are suffering because of it. So we're going to talk about that. Again, Democratic elections. We got several segments to get to. I want to talk about that Idaho Falls hero that drew the fire, from the shooter there. Really great stuff that we're going to talk about. And the show starts. Good morning. The show starts right now.
Paul Harrell program.
All right, folks, thanks so much for being with us. We really do appreciate it. Broadcasting live from the great state of Arkansas. And my co-host in seat number 2, Rob Spencer, is with us. Rob, how you doing, sir?
Paul, I am doing better than you. I'm doing great. And Paul was saying he felt a little bit under the weather before we started the show. He's like,
New schedule
here. So we're all kind of getting our internal clocks fixed and all of that. One thing I didn't mention as we introduced ourselves to like newer, different viewers. A lot of crossover, but some of these different viewers, is I just want to point this out. You may notice that I wear a Grunt Style t-shirt every day. If you're not familiar with Grunt Style, it is just a conservative apparel. There's actually in-person stores, but I order the majority of my stuff online because we don't have one that's in very, very close distance. And I counted the other day, and I have 31 Grunt Style shirts. And my wife has officially told me no more. Like you can't even wear all these. And I'm like, well, I wear them every day. So anywho, if you wonder, I wear a Grunt Style shirt. They donate a portion of their sales to Wounded Warrior Project. All of this stuff. It's just great organization. And so we're not affiliated with them at all. We'd love it if they sponsor the show, Paul. How about they sponsor the show? That would be great. So if anybody knows anybody at Grunt Style, tell them, hey, I know a guy that wears your shirts and apparel proudly. So, anywho, glad to be on with you. Looking forward to talking about all of the topics. It's interesting. They just called that Michigan primary, and a very interesting person is going to have the Democrat ticket there in one of the largest swing states that we have here in the U.S. Going to be interesting.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. I want to remind everybody the Paul Harrell program is sponsored by the Healing Veterans Project. You see that there on your screen. We're trying to get red light panels to veterans, and so if you could scan the QR code, find out more about Healing Veterans Project at healingveteransproject.us. That's healingveteransproject.us. Rob, what do you know about this primary?
So, of course, obviously it's just a primary right now. So the general election is where the conservatives, the Republicans need to be, really concerned, of course, and it's voter turnout. A really interesting person here that I've been following for a long time because he ran for senator. You guys remember John James, their African-American man, conservative, great guy, and he ran for Senate, and he did not win in Michigan. But he has then, he stayed around, and he was just such a great candidate that I knew that he was going to reemerge. Well, he just won the primary for the Republican primary for governor of Michigan, and what a fantastic replacement that he would be there in. Which I don't know if anybody's ever known this, but Arkansas and Michigan are supposed to be sister states. I was told that when I was younger. I don't even really know what that means. That we're sister states.
I think it means that we came in at the same time.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay. Yeah. Well, regardless.
Mason-Dixon line thing.
Yeah, and they said that we're very similar in terms of this. I don't know if this is true, but when we were in elementary school, they said that Arkansas was one of the few states that could be completely cut off from the rest of the United States. And we have every resource available here to grow our own food and do all of our own stuff. I digress. We're talking about the primaries. Just interesting because I always follow things in Michigan, especially considering how close those elections are. That is truly a 50-50 state. And but for the Democrat primary, they just called it. Abdul El Sayed is the Democrat nominee for senator in Michigan. So if you can imagine how absolutely, I would say terrified that conservatives should be, or at the very least concerned that a 50-50 state has a person named Abdul El Said. Call me a racist all you want to, but this is the United States, folks.
Yeah.
Abdul El Said, a Democrat socialist, sure as hell does not need to be representing the American people in the United States Senate, because I don't think that his religion, his mentality, his way of life, and his goals fit with the American dream. And so some Republicans and conservatives might be cheering today, Paul, and they might be saying, oh, yes, that means it's a shoo-in, because those rural people in Michigan are not going to turn out. They're not going to turn out and vote for El Said, okay? But they also might just sit home. And that's the biggest issue. And I've got a few other thoughts. I don't want to derail all of it, but I'll say this. I heard it this morning on Fox News. I was kind of listening in this morning while I was getting ready, and they were I forget the morning host guy's name, the black guy, but anyway, super great. Lawrence. He said something very eye-opening. He goes, guys, do not sleep on these Democrat socialists, because we're going to sit here and just scream that they're crazy commies, right? I would imagine that everybody listening to us right now and everybody in our comments would say that these Democrat socialists are, in fact, communists. Okay, Trump is already saying it, all of that stuff. You can sleep on them, but what are they talking about? They're talking about lowering prices for everyday Americans. Their ideas are lunacy. Mm-hmm. They will never work. But if you're a poor person here, or just a struggling person, and you're going to the grocery store and you're having to choose between this or that because you don't have enough money when you go swipe your card at the checkout line, you're somebody's sitting there saying they're going to take money from billionaires and put it back into the pockets of everyday Americans. Even though that's crazy, it sounds pretty good to you.
Yeah.
They're going to speak to these kitchen table issues. They're going to speak to them all the way up through November. And if you think that it's not going to sound appealing to some people, rather than the status quo of grocery prices, gas prices, and all of that, then you're naive, in my opinion.
Well, and that also brings us to election integrity and this whole issue
Sure.
with John Thune and the SAVE Act. And, this should have already been done. This should have been done last year. Should have been done certainly the beginning of this year. And so that's what brings us to today's segment, our opening segment anyway, introducing Red Tape Tyrants. Okay, so for Red Tape Tyrants, here we go. Here's John Thune from yesterday. Let's pipe this in here. We've got a few comments about why we just can't get the SAVE Act passed.
By the president, he says he wants you to stay in session, wants you to pass the Save America Act.
Well, I think the president, I've heard from him a couple times this morning on issues that he cares about. Wouldn't say I'm isolated, no. I mean, I've been very clear about the prospects for the Save America Act, and the only thing I've said all along is we have voted on the Save America Act 5 times. It was the pending business on the floor of the Senate for over 2 weeks, and I am willing to, in any way possible, get that across the finish line if there is a path to do it. But there are 2 realities and 2 facts you have to deal with. And the first is there are no Democrats who are going to vote for this. All 47 voted against the SAVE Act 5 times. So let's make this an issue in the campaign. How about we go out and turn our fire on Democrats and make it about them?
Isolated by the president.
All right, that's the first. Okay, so that's the first clip.
Yeah, forgive me, but is my math? I'm thinking about my math here. What's my math say? My math says 47 is less than 53. Realistically, because McConnell is MIA, it's 52. And you're going to have some people that'll not make it onto the train with you. But if it's 50-50, where's J.D. Vance voting? Mm-hmm. Okay? Don't sit here and talk about the Democrats. They're going to oppose every single solitary thing that you're going to do. Don't sit here and talk about them, because you're talking about this made up 60 vote threshold for the silent filibuster that your dumb predecessors long ago created so they didn't have to stand their lazy asses up there and actually give an actual filibuster. So they created this silent filibuster known as cloture. And so now what you have is this ability for the minority party to completely stop the agenda of the American people, because the American people have already given you the votes, John Thune. They've already given you everything that you need. You just can't lead, or you don't want the Save America Act, which is much more logical. I'm so sick of this dumbass man getting paid to be the Senate Majority Leader. In some respects, the fourth most powerful person in the world. Fourth in line for the presidency. I forget how after the speaker, what the line goes. But certainly the Senate Majority is one of the most powerful people in the country. And you can't even get your own side to vote with you. What do the Democrats do? They have all kinds of crazy lunatic wings of their party. You've got the moderates. You've got the old school Democrats. You got the socialists. You got the crazies now coming in from the communist wing of them. But what do? They coalesce. They get around each other. When it comes to a vote, the Democrats vote together. John Thune, either get your job done or get the hell out of that position.
I think you speak for most Americans. Here's the next clip, kind of leaving off where that one ended.
First is, there are no Democrats who are going to vote for this. All 47 voted against the SAVE Act 5 times. So let's make this an issue in the campaign. How about we go out and turn our fire on Democrats and make it about them?
First of all, well, I want to finish that, but that's just ridiculous.
That's exactly what I was railing against. Let's make it about them.
Yeah, let's not focus on how our side doesn't want to listen to what the American people want, and let's try to make it a campaign issue so you'll vote for us again. For what? To what end?
We need 60 people. I think he's wanting a super majority. But you're going to have your people. You're going to have your detractors. Okay, you're going to have your detractors. Even if you had 60 Republican senators, you'll have some detractors. Markowski and Collins right now. Don't get me started on Susan Collins with her bull crap, what she just posted yesterday. We haven't even pulled that
You're talking
story.
About Todd Blanche.
Yeah, how she's already a no vote, and although that dumb B voted for Merrick Garland.
Yeah.
You voted for Merrick Garland, and you want to talk about I'm fired up to this morning, Paul. You want to sit here and tell me, Susan Collins, that Merrick Garland was not weaponizing the Department of Justice? What the hell were you paying attention to for 4 years? He 100% weaponized the power that he had. We saw it. They were doing raids on preachers who silently prayed in front of an abortion clinic.
Yeah.
They sent the freaking SWAT team and the FBI in there and raided this person's house at 6 o'clock in the morning, took him into custody because he prayed silently in front of an abortion clinic. That's Merrick Garland, and you voted for him. And you want to sit here and talk about Todd Blanche? You want to sit here and say that he's weaponizing the Department of Justice? Bullcrap.
Yeah.
You are absolutely insane if you're going to try to feed me that story. And she is already, but without one single meeting with Todd Blanche, Susan Collins is already a no vote.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Here is the rest of his statement.
Opposing the SAVE Act.
He's trying to fire on you.
So we're not, that's the point. So we're not getting any Democrats. The second thing is we are not getting rid of the legislative filibuster. The votes aren't there to do that. I've made it abundantly clear many, many times. And it seems to me some days that I'm the only one here who can count to 50 in this town, but we don't have the votes to get rid of the filibuster, and we aren't flipping 10 Democrats to vote for the Save America Act. First is, there are
He's
no
the
Democrats.
only one
hold
in
on.
D.C. that can count to 50.
That's right. Will you play that last 10 seconds of it, Paul?
Yeah, you got it.
Abundantly clear many, many times, and it seems to me some days that I'm the only one here who can count to 50 in this town, but we don't have the votes to get rid of the filibuster, and we aren't flipping 10 Democrats to vote for the Save America Act.
We don't have the votes to get rid of the filibuster. Why do you have to have the votes to get rid of the filibuster? You created these Senate procedures. These are procedures. It's not the Constitution, folks. These are procedures that you created.
Yeah.
And if you don't think that the Democrats are going to do that,
I know.
the next
That's what I was
time they
just about
change
to
the
say.
Senate, oh my gosh, what dream world! Chuck Schumer, hey, I'm the only one that can count to 50, and Chuck Schumer has assured me, if he becomes the Senate Majority Leader again, and we're in the minority here as our Republicans, Chuck is not going to nuke the filibuster. They will do anything they can to stop Trump's last 2 years, to make him a lame duck for his last 2 years. Sickening.
Yeah, townhall.com has this story about it. John Thune once again seems to miss the obvious here regarding the Save America Act when he says, we don't have 50 votes. He claims to be the only person who can count to 50. No, man, we can. We can see a worthless piece of crap playing leader coddled by panic-scared scum. And the GOP remains the party that elects folks who don't know what to do when they have power. And but I don't think that's what it is.
No, it's special
honestly,
interest.
no. It's not that they don't know what to do. It is special interest, and it's also the fact that these special interests, and I think by extension, the politicians themselves, they're supporting the policies. I actually think some of these Republicans, if the filibuster went away when the Democrats got in control, they'd like it. I think they actually want a lot of these Democrat policies to come to fruition, to change the country. I really do. That's where I'm at with all of this. I think John Thune is actively playing for the other team. I don't buy that this is just the votes are what the votes are. That's only the case when they're trying to stop real reforms or real representation. They'll always get the votes when it comes to for lack of a better term, screwing the American people. Like they'll always find the votes then. Then they'll figure out the procedure to do it or whatever.
Yeah.
Just look what they did with, ramming through Obamacare like they did in December that one time. So
yeah, we've got a lot of activity in the chat, of course, and they mostly agree here. Steve Cray, the Thune is also paid for, which is what we're talking about there. There are people that want to be able to influence elections, and I'm talking about through illegal means. There are people that want to be able to influence these elections because, hey, if I can get this candidate, I own this candidate. Right? If I can put this candidate in this position, they're going to funnel this money back to my organization, all of that stuff. And we're seeing, there was tons of that with USAID. Yeah. What all organizations here have faltered because USAID was defunded there. Mm-hmm. And so we saw that, and that was just one slush fund there. So AV, he's so full of We're on hometown TV, so I do let some cuss words fall out, but sometimes we try not to say them so we don't get censored. But Sherry Welch, we have the House and the Senate, and they haven't done. I'm just telling you, that's true. Like we talked about it yesterday, Paul. We've done the big beautiful bill, one big beautiful bill.
Yep.
And that's a lot because there's a lot in there, so I don't want to minimize it, but we just don't have. We don't have. What have you done for me lately? Is what voters are going to be thinking as they go to the polls in November. Family Low, he is so condescending. Yeah, that's true. Like when you're talking about this guy saying I'm the only one who can count to 50 in this town. No, Mike Johnson. I don't agree with everything that Mike Johnson said. I've said this on the show many times. But he's got a razor-thin majority in the House,
right?
And he is getting things done. They've passed this Save America Act. How many times have they passed it in the House? Mm-hmm. Just countless times. And he's doing it with a razor-thin majority.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's naive of us to think that there's not something bigger at play. That this one particular issue, John Thune cannot get across the finish line, and the only answer is. He has no intention to do so.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So yeah, sound off. Continue sounding off in the comments. Let us know what you think. It's just a wild. It's really a wild time. Very frustrating, very demoralizing in a lot of respects. And yet we're going to push on, and we're going to I don't know, go forth, subdue the earth, be happy warriors as much as we can. But in other news, we have this story, which is getting into the primary results from last night. Okay, so there was already an outlet or two that had called the race for Abdul El Sayed. But at the top of the show, you said USA Today finally is calling it. This was a much closer race out of Michigan in the Democrat primary than many people anticipated.
That's Gateway Pundit is now calling it as well. They've got the check mark there. Look
Yeah.
how close that is. I would imagine that she's going to call for, a recount. And this Mallory McMorrow, she bowed out. If I remember correctly, she bowed out a while ago, but she's still on the ballot. And she bowed out, and I can't. No, don't quote me on that because I thought she endorsed Haley Stevens. But regardless, look at that top name, folks. Look at that top name. Call me racist. I don't give a damn. Abdul El Sayed is now got a 50-50 shot because, let's face it, Michigan is a 50-50 state.
Yep.
He has a 50-50 shot of being one of 100 United States senators in America.
Pretty wild.
It's, folks, I mean, it was 26 or 25 years ago that radical Islamic terrorists bombed us here on American soil with airplanes. They destroyed buildings with airplanes here. And they did it on American soil. And we feel like we see all these foreign wars and things that are being blown up in Iran and all of that stuff. It happened here in the United States. And less than a generation later, Abdul El Sayed has a 50-50 shot of being a United States senator.
It actually, it happened 7 years later. If you'd have told somebody 2001 after September 11th that 7 years later we were going to elect Barack Hussein Obama. By the way, that forever proves that this country is not this racist country that, we're told that it is, by the way.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Well, Barack Obama's not black, though.
Yeah.
I don't want to get it. You heard that stand-up comedian that talks about that?
No.
He's like, well, why is he black? He's got one white parent and one black parent. So why is he black? Is that just he's more of the other parent? You're discounting one parent, and I forget which one of his parents are black.
Well, for the leftist goals and trying to achieve what the left wants, yes, you discount the white parent for sure. Rob, Town Hall writes this about the elections last night. Why Republicans should be very pleased with the Democratic primary in Michigan. Now, the idea, I think, is that this other lady, what was her name again? Haley Stevens. More, potentially more moderate. Would give the Republican candidate, is it Mike Rogers, who's running in Michigan, more of a, harder run. Now the differences are more stark.
And I happened upon her on X yesterday, and it was just a flurry of messages, of course, leading up to Election Day. And she didn't say anything crazy or off the wall. She's not being radical. Of course, typically people start going a little less radical as you're leading up to the elections. It's like everybody goes to the center during an election year. But anyway, I read some of this if you want. I just disagree with the mentality of us saying, oh, well, we've got this radical.
We shouldn't say, hey, okay, it's in the bag.
Yeah.
But I do think politically, with rigged elections, you never know, or with election security integrity, you never know. But I do think there's something to that. If you can make the differences between the two candidates more stark, then I think that's always an advantage.
Well, I just don't know that he's got enough time to step on his own feet here because we were talking about this via text this morning. We're just a couple of months away from the midterms here.
Know,
so what are we talking about here? If somebody's got 2 years to mess up leading up to a big election or something like that.
Okay, so here's some statistics. So Representative Haley Stevens is overperforming in a bunch of rural Michigan counties that Bernie Sanders won in the 2016 presidential primary. So former Rep. Mike Rogers, the Republican candidate, you have to be pleased with that result, is what people are saying. This article is saying a Michigan flip here almost guarantees the GOP will contain control or will retain control of the Senate.
I mean, I don't know. I was watching a little bit of a clip of CNN, and they were talking about. Now I don't watch CNN; I just see it in the feed. See it in the feed. But anywho, they John whatever that does the election stuff, the white-haired guy, John King. I don't know what his name is. Regardless, he was saying that if the Democrats do not win Michigan, it seems extremely unlikely that they would take the Senate. But he also brought up a good point. He's like, if Michigan goes Republican, then you might have to start looking at these at Ohio. This is some of the surrounding states there, and because those are Democrat seats that are up, and curiously, could they retain them, or is there in that upper Midwest area? I forget what is it called, the Rust Belt up there. Are they going to be leaning more Republican? And that maybe putting a little bit too much emphasis on just one state in Michigan, because every state's different with these senators, but certainly something to watch.
Yeah. One more headline here about this. With Abdul El Said's victory, Michigan just became ground zero for stopping the Democratic Socialist of America. I mean, yeah, I get it. Like, we had a whole big segment on this, is running against the socialist or the communist. Is that really the only message that the right has? I mean, to me, I've known that these guys were communists the entire time, and I know many other people have, but now they're kind of mask off. Now they're saying, hey, look, no, this is who we are. We're embracing the label that we used to claim was some sort of conspiracy theory. So I get it. There's definitely a Rubicon there that's being crossed. But these are the goalposts. This is what the goalposts are going to be, Mm-hmm. I mean, if I had to pick, I wouldn't necessarily put all your eggs in that one narrative. That's just me. But that's certainly what Michigan is going to. I mean, I wonder how much money is about to be poured into this state in the next 3 months. A lot. Yeah.
But, if you look at the coffers there at the DNC, I mean, they don't really have a whole lot of money. But for this, you want to tell me that all of those Muslim folks living in Michigan aren't going to just start pouring tons of money into El Said's campaign? Yeah. So I don't think they need it from the DNC. Mm-hmm. I think their brothers in Muhammad.
I think you're right.
Are going to shell out some cash.
I think you're right. Hey, last clip about what happened in the election last night. Former Congresswoman Cori Bush is trying to regain her seat.
Dumbest woman to ever.
Yeah.
You want to say that Jasmine Crockett's dumb? If you don't remember Cori Bush, this woman is an absolute moron. She can't even speak, and I'm not a very eloquent speaker whatsoever. But this woman was an idiot, and she ran it. She represented, like, if you're familiar with Missouri, she represented like the St. Louis, Missouri area, which is very left.
Yep.
So it's always going to have a liberal, and she got like third place in her own primary in 2024, so she's been ousted. This was her comeback attempt.
This was her comeback. It did not go well. Her opponent, Wesley Bell, 61% of the vote. She got 35%. Some other lady, some white lady that had no chance, got 2.1%.
Oh, yeah, they're not electing a white lady in St. Louis.
That's right.
Hey, will you play that clip a little bit?
Let's do it.
Sorry. What happened? We said, could Cori Bush counter in St. Louis City what Wesley Bell got out of St. Louis County, which was about as good as you get out of St. Louis County?
That's
Short
just
answer
one
is
county.
She didn't. She's losing by 26 points in St. Louis City.
Well, that's
now
where
we've
the
seen
most
it
votes
across
are.
Yeah.
the dividing line, and we have called this race. NBC News has declared that Wesley Bell, freshman Democrat
That's worse.
from Missouri's first congressional district,
70
has
to 25.
won renomination. He has defeated former Congresswoman Cori Bush, who sought a rematch after losing her seat to Bell in 2020.
Now, listen, I know NBC News is very left. I love this guy because his election coverage is really incredible. Like he's a little Magoo-ish with his antics and all of that stuff, and gets a little bit too involved in it. But man, he's extremely knowledgeable. He's very close to Bill Hemmer on Fox News, who knows. It seems like he knows every county in all across the United States. But how embarrassing for Cori Bush. If you're not familiar with her, if you don't remember, she was really pushing hard for defunding the police. She wanted to get rid of police officers. And her biggest area that she would represent is St. Louis, Missouri, which is on many, many lists as the murder capital of the United States per capita. Now, it's done better with that, but do not go to East St. Louis.
No, you do not.
Do not go to East St. Louis, because that place, there are tons of there's tons of crime, there's tons of murder, and I can't imagine what the citizens that are living there, who are being terrorized by these gang members and just thugs, I can't imagine what they would think if there were no police officers at all. Can you imagine how it would just run amok? And so Cori Bush was a complete moron. I'm so happy to see her completely get shattered.
Yeah. I think the whole country is breathing a sigh of relief not having to listen to that for the next 2 years. Real quick, we're going to reset here. Going to take a quick break, so don't go anywhere. This is the Paul Harrell Program. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll be back here in just a moment.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red Vive.
Why is Red Vive different? What sets it apart? What sets us apart from the standard red light panels? This is a medical grade device, and what that means is the red light bulbs and the near infrared bulbs have very specific wavelengths. If you think about the wavelength as the medicine, the 635, the 670, the 810, the 850, those were specifically chosen because those are the most powerful effectors of the cells. So those specific wavelengths, when they get into our body, when they affect our tissue, they spike energy production, they help with nerve pain control, they increase stem cell counts. There's very specific mechanisms that those specific wavelengths work at, and that's the medicine. So if you think of, say, medicine as an Advil or a specific steroid or a blood pressure medication, the wavelength is the medication. The other part of that, whenever you take a medication, is dose. Right? So you have the medication. So if you take 1 milligram of Advil, and the average dose of an Advil is 200 milligrams to 800 milligrams, it's not going to work. That doesn't mean the medicine's bad. It just means you didn't take enough. Right? And so even if you have the right wavelengths, first you have to have the right medicine, and then you have to have the right dose. And to have the right dose, you have, in light therapy, you have to have enough energy. So you have to have a powerful bulb. The LED bulbs, or light emitting diodes, have a specific wavelength, and that wavelength is the medicine. And the wavelengths that have been studied and published on that are the most powerful in affecting healing and the changes that we want to see with our bodies and our health are the 635 wavelength, the 670, 810 nanometer wavelength, and 850 nanometer wavelength. Those are all going to affect the mitochondria, the cytochrome C oxidase, and affect those powerful long-term changes and affect that downstream pathways. And that's what you get with Red Vive devices. The highest efficacy, the best wavelengths, concentrated to help your health.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust to your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
Now for the lowest price ever. Kings, $19.98, Queens, only $18.98. And Giza Dream Bed Sheets, the best sheets in history, for as low as $29.98. Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you, what a concept, now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But that's not all. Order right now and we'll ship your order absolutely free.
The Paul Harrell Program.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us. Paul Harrell here alongside Rob Spencer from the great state of Arkansas. Rob, we've just been going over John Thune and the Republican-controlled Congress is in action. We've also covered the fallout, the primary results out of Michigan. And we actually have a great rest of the show planned as well. We're getting a lot of stuff to talk about.
A lot of these new segments that we're tossing in there, and just hopefully have a lot of fun with those. But I did want to say something because we had that MyPillow ad during there, and so if you need a MyPillow there, please use the promo code Paul. But anyway,
PH actually.
I'm sorry, PH. This is why you do the ads and I don't. But anyway, so yes, he is stepping down as the CEO of MyPillow. And so I did see some liberals being like, oh, finally, and all that stuff. I'm like, he's running for governor. He's running for governor. He's trying to focus on that. I don't know if he's got a chance to win there in Minnesota. I mean, that's really a 60-40 state against the Republicans. So I don't know. But, I mean, last time a celebrity ran for a big office back in 2016, he kind of got a lot of attention there. So everybody knows Mike Lindell. I think his name really got dragged through the mud during the 2020 election integrity stuff and voter fraud. And in some ways, I believe that he's been vindicated. Never on the left. The left's not going to feel like he was vindicated whatsoever. But I think he's got an interesting story. He was in the gutter as a he wrote a book. It's called From Crackhead to CEO. I mean, he was just laying it out there. He's like, I was just a addicted crackhead, and then I became a multi-millionaire CEO of MyPillow. And so I wish him luck there. The state of Minnesota is so rotten and vile from the liberal lunacies that are there that they could do a whole lot worse than having Mike Lindell as their governor.
Yeah. No, I think you're right about that, folks. Time for our new segment. Tell me, see if you can guess what this segment is about. All right, so from my cold, dead hands.
From my cold, dead hands. That's the late great Charlton Heston.
I know, man. Got to watch
Pharaoh. Yes. Let my people go. Is that a pretty good?
So let it be written. So let it be done.
That's Ramses. Yes. Is that a decent Charlton Heston?
I think that's pretty good.
Let my people go.
Yeah, that is really good, actually. I
mean, it's it may be a little too dramatic, but these damn dirty apes. Okay,
so
all right.
We're talking about this hero, Jordan Salinas, who has actually kind of got already a social media presence before he returned fire. So you have this crazy person that shoots a couple that at a Tesla charging station at an In-N-Out Burger over the weekend in Idaho Falls. And here's Jordan Salinas speaking out, and of course he's on video with a pistol, and he's made several YouTube videos with his suppressor. He's got a pistol and a suppressor on it, and he uses that same platform to essentially shoot bullets back in the direction of this guy with his rifle. And again, it's an example of a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun. Even if you didn't hit him, you kind of change the equation real quick when bullets start flying back at you.
Well, they say it's kind of like if your home is invaded and you're unarmed and the person invading it is armed, do anything you can before running. Don't just run.
Right.
Throw a chair across the room before you run because it will throw the shooter off.
Yeah.
And so it's that sort of same mentality. I will also say this. They say you can't judge a book by its cover, but this dude looks like he owns a lot of guns. He looks like his weekends are at the range. Okay?
Yep.
So he might have been perfectly placed in that situation.
On the right-hand side of that sign closest to the road, and that's where I saw the individual with his rifle pointed at the vehicles.
Authorities believe those heroic actions drove the shooter from the scene and likely saved lives.
He seemed unusually comfortable aiming that rifle at those cars, and then as soon as some rounds started coming at him, everything changed. Immediately, all that bravado he had immediately crumbled.
This In-N-Out had opened just a week prior. The company
on the right.
That's exactly true. I mean, and this is why an armed society is a polite society. I mean, the only way to I don't know, diminish the fantasy of whatever psycho is committing this act of violence. You get to a point where the only way to communicate properly is to send bullets back in their direction.
Yeah, and I love the way you kind of put it there. And, he didn't say it in so many words, but this guy was just totally in control of the situation. He had all this bravado. He's going around creating all this terror. And then he was met with something that threw him off. And that's ultimately what has to happen, because even, in these horrific school shooter incidents, when does that school shooter take their own life? And it's when they're confronted by a good guy with a gun.
Yeah.
That's when they take their own life. The jig is up. My reign of terror is over. And so that, and that's why there's been so many different protocols being trained around the country for these schools and these active shooter situations and all of that stuff. I think the solution, and there's going to, liberals would just laugh at this. Anti-gun people, anti-Second Amendment people would just laugh at this. But the solution to neutralizing threats in the United States, considering the number of guns we have, is more good guys with guns.
Yeah.
As we know, that's the only thing that's truly going to stop a bad guy is a good guy with a gun. And although Ted Nugent is pretty crazy in a lot of respects, he pointed out something very important. It's a simple thought, but I've thought about it because he said it probably 20 years ago. And he said a firearm is the only thing that puts a 5'1", 100-pound female on the same footing as a 6'4", 250-pound man. Okay, they are on the same level when she has a gun. Okay, meaning, yes, you can hurt me, you can kill me, but I can hurt you and kill you. It's the great equalizer. And unfortunately, I guess this, I think he took 2 lives before he was stopped.
I've heard conflicting reports. I've heard that there were, they were shot. I definitely heard one of them survived. I thought we heard that one died, but then I later heard that no, one was in surgery.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, what ended up happening, but suffice it to say, the carnage could have been much worse.
Yeah.
And that's just, kind of what we're seeing in when cowards with guns get confronted by brave men or women with guns.
So, in relation to this segment, this story kind of caught my eye. You don't see this headline every day. So, a dad decided to pose as his 11-year-old daughter on TikTok to lure her alleged rapist to the home, where he then shot the person.
So, a man raped his 11-year-old daughter. He found the messages on her phone, started texting this guy as if it was his daughter, and lured him to the home and shot him.
Yes.
I'm sorry. And they arrested him?
Right. This guy should get a medal.
I'd give him a medal.
He claims he was luring him to the home to then detain him and get the cops there. But the dad then says, his last name is Chandler, the dad says, but he thought he saw the guy reach for a gun, and that's why he shot the guy. Which is a perfectly good explanation for me. I don't need any other details.
That's all I need.
Honestly, this is I feel the same way I feel about this case as I did about Aaron Spencer.
Oh yeah.
Can you remind the audience about Aaron Spencer, Rob?
Yeah, that one's turned out just amazing, guys. If you're not familiar with the Aaron Spencer trial, you need to look that stuff up, because you want to talk about government overreach, and it was happening in a conservative Christian red state of Arkansas, and it happened in an 80-20 conservative area. So a conservative area, 80-20, this happened. So if it can happen there, it can happen anywhere. But essentially, here's what the story was. If you're not familiar with Aaron Spencer, his 13-year-old daughter had been groomed by a 60-something-year-old man. Fat, old guy. I mean, that girl must have been in just a really tough, mental position. 13 is a tough age especially for girls, I'm told. But anyway, so he lured her, groomed her, sexually assaulted her, He was arrested for it. He was out on bond, awaiting trial, and Aaron Spencer awakens. He's the father of this 13-year-old girl. Aaron Spencer awakens at 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that, to find that the dog barking, his daughter's dog, and his daughter's missing. This guy, this old creep, while he was out on bond, actually lured his daughter out again. Got her. Aaron Spencer gets in his truck, and he's driving through, because it's a very small area, so there's no one on the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning. If you see any vehicle, it's likely the one you're looking for. So he sees this guy's vehicle, chases him down. Can't remember if he was run off the road or whatever, but suffice it to say the perpetrator's truck had stopped, and Aaron Spencer gets out. He says that the guy was reaching for something inside of the vehicle. The 60-year-old creep was reaching for something and had his daughter in the truck. And he steps out of the truck. Aaron Spencer opens fire, kills him. There was dash cam video, or not dash cam, but you know what I'm talking about, like one of those vehicle cams.
Yes.
I guess it's a dash cam, but when I say dash cam, I think of police. In the perpetrator's truck, the police mishandled that, and the SIM card.
In Aaron Spencer's truck, right?
Oh, is it in Aaron Spencer's truck? Okay,
I think so, but I could be wrong.
There was alleged video that could have shown exactly what happened, and the police not only arrested Aaron Spencer, not only charged him with murder, but lost the video that could have proved his innocence. Then the judge was going through. I mean, they were talking about just judicial. She put a gag order that was so strenuous that when the gag order was appealed to the Arkansas Supreme Court, the attorneys for Aaron Spencer said, our judge over here, because she appealed the judge's ruling, our judge over here has put a gag order so strong that I don't know if I'm actually legally allowed to present this appeal to you right now because I'm having to talk about this case. Well, the Arkansas Supreme Court overturned that judge's gag order. She was removed from the case. They got a fair judge in there. The fair judge said, since the police mishandled this crucial evidence, we don't have enough evidence here. I'm dropping all of the charges. And by the way, in the meantime, Aaron Spencer ran for sheriff and replaced the man who had him arrested.
Exactly.
You want to talk about vindication?
Such a great wild, wild west story.
Yes, but he sure as hell shouldn't have had to do that. He went and rescued his daughter. He drove and found her and rescued her. He was threatened. This guy was out on bond anyway for sexually assaulting his daughter, and this guy ends up dead, which is exactly where that freaking creep needed to be. Because forgive me, I know this is not a Christian thing to say, but I think if you've got a sickness in your head where you want to have sexual relations with a child, I don't see your redemptive value. I just don't see how you could be redeemed. I think the best bet for you is one of two things. Either go be put on an island with the rest of the pedophiles and starve to death and die, or the parents of the victims that you terrorized get the opportunity to have their own vindication against you. Now, people are gonna say it's not a Christian thing to say, but I think a pedophile needs a bullet to their head.
Look, governments exist because they are allowed to exist by God, and they're supposed to punish the guilty. They're supposed to protect the innocent and punish the guilty. And we don't do that. We don't do that in a lot of these cases. And the Aaron Spencer case, or this case of this guy named Chandler that shot did not kill but shot his daughter's abuser. It makes these people in academia and all these people that go to law school and it makes them so uncomfortable. And yet, I think most people would say, look, after somebody has harmed your child in this way, specifically if it's your daughter,
sure.
You know what? You catch up to him at that point. It is it just Literally is what it is at that point, and it's like there's no scrutiny. I'm sorry, there's just no scrutiny here.
Well, I mean, and back to this Diego Montoya Gonzalez. He's accused of raping an 11-year-old girl. That you see his picture on the screen, folks. Do they? Do they see the picture on the screen?
They do now.
I'm on a delay, so I didn't know that they didn't. I couldn't see it. But anywho, you see this guy. Does he look 11?
No, he does not,
No.
Rob. No, he does not.
Looks like a grown man. I mean, if I'm guessing early to mid-20s. But, it's tough to they say that if you're a different ethnicity than the person you're looking at there and trying to judge their age, that you won't judge their age accurately. But anywho, this guy.
Here's what's outrageous, all right,
okay,
with this story. When police arrived at the scene, they found Montoya Gonzalez sitting in the chair with 2 gunshot wounds. He was transported to the medical center. Chandler, the father, was charged with felony assault, and his bond was set at $1,000. All right, I'm sorry, $100,000.
$100,000.
Montoya Gonzalez was then indicted by a grand jury on Friday. 5 counts of pandering, sexually oriented material, because they found child porn on his phone.
Mm-hmm.
2 counts of rape and 1 count of obstruction of official business. And the judge set a $20,000 reconnaissance bond and a $50,000 cash bond. So that totals $70,000. So literally his bond is less than the father that shot him.
$70,000. Now, I did notice one difference there, that's the $50,000 is cash.
Yeah.
Now, that may get changed to cash or surety. Surety is where you can use like a bail bondsman and only pay 10% of that. I don't know that this Diego guy is going to be able to raise $5,000. But that $20,000, I guess they call that recognizance. That might be with the bail bondsman. That's interesting because they don't do that in Arkansas. They don't split that bond up like that. So it's interesting that they do that. What state was this?
Let me see here. Let me scroll it up.
Ohio. Okay. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see because Ohio's got a lot of liberal judges there, and for some reason, liberal judges tend to not believe that an 11, 12, or 13-year-old girl who has maybe started puberty or is going through puberty or whatever, that they are that they can be raped by a 20-year-old. They don't because maybe they were texting back and they were snapping back and they were saying, "Oh yeah, because they're 11 years old." I've got a 12-year-old daughter. Okay, she is every bit a child. She is a child, and for somebody to be able to look at an 11-year-old as a, what is this guy? So he's 20 years old. Okay, so I guessed early 20s. So he's 20 years old. So he lured this 11-year-old girl, and even if she was answering back and saying yes, that sounds great to me, and all of that stuff, she's 11, and you're an adult. So I believe that every bit of punishment that could be had for you, unfortunately you lived through it, but maybe it's fortunately for Chandler, because had he killed this Diego guy, then he may actually serve some prison time, but hopefully his self-defense case holds up there. But as I was saying there in Ohio, if you get a liberal judge, they're going to look at that. They may say that 11-year-old was asking for it, which is sickening to me. But we've seen it. We've seen countless cases of it. So I don't think I'm far off here when I see that. Now I will say that I've seen some conservative judges that say a college guy. I remember that one in Oklahoma, and it was a very conservative judge. And there was a college student that was passing by, and a girl was passed out by a dumpster, and she had vomit all around her. And this guy stops. She's passed out, and he rapes her, and he got 30 days in jail.
Wars have been fought over less.
Yeah, and so I've seen that on both sides with these judges that do not understand that an 11-year-old or a completely unconscious girl who's passed out, she's got vomit around her by a dumpster, and I know that's an old case, and I don't know if there's some more stuff to that I don't know, but regardless, I really hope that Chandler gets a fair shake in all of this and that those charges are dropped.
So we just have a few minutes before we got to wrap up the show, or the first hour of the show. Did you see this? I can't believe this. This is from an account I've never heard of called Football Crave. Bill Belichick obviously has got this really young. Are they married? I don't know, girlfriend or whatever.
No, they're a girlfriend, but
you remember Chris Cuomo though? Is it Chris Cuomo? Which one was the governor of New York?
Andrew Cuomo.
Andrew Cuomo. Do you remember when he, during COVID at the height, had this T-shirt on, and it was like, oh my gosh, the governor of New York has his nipples pierced. Do you remember this?
No, I didn't even say that.
Oh yeah, you can see through his shirt.
What a freak.
Okay, all right. Well, people are trying to say that this latest photo of Bill Belichick, that he may have his nipple pierced. And I don't know if that's the case, but you talk about a midlife crisis.
That's not midlife. He's 70.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
Yeah, well, whatever. You talk about trying to stay young.
It's end of life crisis.
End of life crisis. If that's the case, and I don't know. Maybe that because the graphic of the T-shirt is up here.
Hey, listen, I'll just be honest.
And in what world would a 70-year-old man be like,
okay,
it's time for me to get a nipple ring?
Paul, I'm just going to say it. If I were to find myself in the unfortunate scenario of being 70 years old and single, I've been married for 16 years. I hope that there's many more years ahead of us. But if I found out that I was found myself 70 years old and single, and an absolute smoke show woman wants to be my girlfriend, and she says, Rob, what would really make me happy is if you would get this barbell put through your nipples, I'd be like, give me the tequila and let's go. And what are you going to do for me? Everything you want, big boy. Sign me up. I'm in.
Man,
I hope my wife's not listening.
Yeah, she probably doesn't listen to the show. That's
no. Honestly, if I found myself single, even at this age, I sure as hell would not go for a 25-year-old. I'm more.
That's literally crazy. You should be locked in an insane asylum if that's what you would ever consider.
Well, she's apparently more mature, for her age.
Yeah,
She owns rental properties and all this. I don't know, but regardless, she's 25 years old, and I've been around enough 25-year-olds to realize I would not want. I would not go for anybody that was more than 6 or 7 years difference either way for me.
Folks, that's a wrap on hour one. So I know we're going to lose our LFA audience. We really do appreciate it. We're going to hand it off to Sean. We'll catch the second hour of the show later in the lineup here on LFA TV later in the afternoon. For those of you that are still going to remain with us, we're going to take a quick break. So
I can't believe we ended our hour like that.
I just wanted to lighten the mood. I wanted to lighten the mood.
See you all in a little bit.
All right, folks.
The Paul Harrell Program.
The other things that we're seeing, more and more use for is even vascular issues. So one of the mechanisms that red light, near-infrared light, or red VIVE works is stimulation of the mitochondria and stimulation of nitric oxide production. So when nitric oxide is released in cells, it vasodilates cells. It reduces inflammation. It moves blood. It brings blood flow to areas. So folks that have issues with ulcers or burns or wounds, it can help stimulate increased blood supply, and you need blood to heal. So that can open up different avenues for peripheral artery disease, for neuropathic pain syndromes. And so that's one of the other areas for nerve injury or nerve pain that we can leverage this type of medicine.
My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Lori, and this is our Star Wars Ewok. His name is Scout, and we have Scout for about 11 years now, and we started noticing about 3 years ago, he started slowing down. He was unable to jump on the bed. He was kind of a little bit grumpier, and when my daughters, Macy and Mariah, would take him on walks, he would walk for about 30 yards, and then he'd lay down, and they'd carry him the rest of the way. So I heard about Pet Club 24/7 and about the products from a gentleman that I really trust and share a friendship with. And he mentioned to me that they have products that are going to help him with his arthritis, help him build his immune system. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's try them out. And I kid you guys not, within about 2 to 3 days, we started noticing a little difference. And then we took Scout on a walk probably about a week after we started using the products, the mush puppies, and he would walk the entire way. He would walk at least a mile, and it's just been completely amazing. He's a new dog. He's 11 years old, which is around 80 years in dog years, and he's just happy. He's more energetic. He's not the grumpy old man he used to be, and we're just so thankful. And it was perfect timing because we lost our boxer Yankee about a year and a half ago, and it was really hard on us. So I'm so thankful for Pet Club 24/7 for the products that they offer. Imagine if you could have your best friend around one more day or one more week or even one more year. I'm so blessed and thankful that we were able to find this company and find these products for Scout. So thank you guys. Give it a shot. We appreciate you. God bless everyone.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust to your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
Now for the lowest price ever. Kings, $19.98. Queens, only $18.98. And Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, for as low as $29.98. Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But that's not all. Order right now and we'll ship your order absolutely free.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red Vive.
I had 5 units that I purchased for the practice right out of the chute. Well, those went the first week that I got back to Houston. So then we ordered another 5 and then another 5. And I think over the next, 6 to 8 weeks, we had ordered like 35 units. And they're gone. They're still gone out of the practice. So we're excited about moving more of these units for our patients because they need them. And so when you bring in new technology and your staff's thinking, oh, this is another thing that I need to handle during the day, I think it's a good idea to give them a little incentive. And I do it as a team. So if one person does well, the whole team does well. So they all support each other. And they got really excited about that. They love it. They'll bring a unit in, turn it on, put it on the patient's foot or leg, and they'll tell the patients, be sure to talk to Dr. Parker about red light therapy. And the patient will say, red light therapy, yeah, I've heard of that, And so I'll walk in and my nurse is she'll tell me, I've spoken to Mrs. Jones about this red light therapy, and she's really excited about it. So Red Vive has been fantastic for our bottom line.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, hour number 2. Thanks so much for being with us. Really having a blast here. Rob, I really appreciate you carrying the show today. I really appreciate all your comments. So.
Listen, Paul, I carry the show every day.
You do.
It's just in different ways. And so if you're sticking with us, it's still the morning time for us, but you may be watching our second hour on LFA TV. We wanted to say one thing to just our LFA audience. If I know that there's been lineup changes and all of that stuff, but we try to vary the show every day. You're not going to get the same content. We also try to talk about stuff that maybe is not 100% the story of the day, because sometimes that stuff just gets completely talked to death. So hopefully you'll like our show. Give us a chance and stick with us during our morning time slot hours going forward.
Amen. I completely agree. So speaking of topics that maybe get buried and don't get covered a lot. It's now time for our next newest segment. It's called, whoa, excuse me. I just lost these new chairs. It's called Degree in Dumb. You got that on delay?
Yeah, I caught it on delay, Paul. And I just want to say the irony of our new segment, Degree in Dumb, and you about fall out of your chair.
Yeah. Degree in Dumb. Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. So Degree in Dumb, this can be a segment where we highlight liberals on college campuses.
Okay.
In this particular instance, we're not doing that. We're highlighting the fact that colleges have become so dumb and then with the rise of AI, that they may in fact be dying off. Now, to do that, we're going to go to this clip right here, which is this is a very popular TikTok out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's from the account Degree Free. I told Eric about this the other day, where you can go to degreefree.com and you can actually look at the different options for your kids on, hey, if you don't think college is right for them, and meaning don't do it when they're 17 or 18, do it when they're 11 or 12.
Okay.
You start to think about, like, well, what can happen? Is college, this end-all, be-all? And, of course, we know that that's not the case. We know there's plenty of people going to trade schools. But for this inaugural segment of Degree in Dumb, I want you to listen to this.
The quote at the top of the video is, "The best degree is a Palantir degree." Literally, that's what I saw today. And that is the future. They're just going to cut the colleges out completely. They're going to die off. That's what's going to happen. The few that remain will be forced to go back to what they were originally supposed to be, which is institutions where people go to actually learn and think more deeply about things, because they are no longer that. Actually, the death of the colleges is the only thing that can save the colleges. And it's the only thing that can put them back to their pure form and actually put them back to the ethics that governed them at the beginning and make them an actual force for good, an actual force for real education in the world. And so I'm hoping that more of these colleges just collapse, and the only ones that survive are the ones that are doing a good job.
That's very interesting.
It's a very interesting take, right? I mean, very interesting clip. And again, I would encourage all of you to go, and they don't sponsor this show at all, degreefree.com, because I find I don't even know this lady's name, but I find her content fascinating. Because she is studying all this. Now, she actually believes a little different than I do. She believes that with the AI revolution, that there actually will be new jobs created for people with souls that we can't anticipate yet. And she cites, industrial revolution, things like that. There were already, we're going to take your job, but then now there's more jobs.
Yeah.
Because
of the boom.
I don't know if that's the case. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's a lot worse than that. Plus, you have our elites talking about universal basic income for a reason. I mean, it's not like, but what she's saying about college is exactly right. And I think the degreefree.com is a way for you as a parent to potentially calm down about it. It's not the end of the world if your kid grows up and says, I don't really want to go to college, or I don't know what I do. Well, you can start having those conversations early, because the institutions are going to tell you, your guidance counselors that are taxpayer funded, the taxpayer dollar goes to a guidance counselor to convince you to go into debt to go to college, because you have to do it, because they're convinced that their graduating class success rate is based on how many people in the graduating class got accepted and went to college the next year. That's what their mindset is. But you don't necessarily have to do that.
Yeah. Well, what's his name? Oh gosh, he's an influencer, social media speaker. Lord have mercy, I forget his name. He wrote several books. It's going to come to me in just a second, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh yeah, duh, you couldn't come up with that." But anyway, essentially, he's been screaming it for years and has been saying, hey, you don't need to go to college.
Are you talking about Mike Rowe?
No.
The Dirty Jobs guy.
No. And so he's like, you don't need to go to college, because you're just essentially, he's like, hey, if your parents are going to pay for it, or if you've got this free ride scholarship, hey, go. Meet new people, learn, make some different connections and all of that stuff. But he's like, do not go out and take college loans. Don't go into debt to get this degree that you don't even really need. Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay.
Gary
I never heard of him.
Oh my gosh, he wrote this book called Crushing It, in 2011, and it's still one of my most fantastic books. And he was talking about the rise of social media, and he called what we're seeing today, really as it was sort of taking off in 2011. But anyway, so Gary Vee has been screaming this for the longest time. He's like, do not waste money on college, because you look at all of these degrees and then you look at your return that you're getting for that cost. And I think we mentioned this on the show, maybe a year ago, talking about the ridiculousness of Stanford University. The Stanford Cardinal in California has more faculty on staff than they have students. There are more people who work there as instructors, researchers, all of this stuff, than they have actual students. And so the cost of tuition is these students going and getting these worthless degrees in many cases. Do you use your college degree right now, Paul?
Yes.
You use the practical skills, but do you use the actual degree?
No, I do not.
Yeah, of course. Of course not. And neither have I. I use those skills that I learned there because, we don't want to embarrass ourselves by telling what our degree is in.
I see what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, but our degree,
I can comprehend what you're talking about.
Right, and I still have college loans, and I've been out of college for many, many years. I still have college loans that I have not paid off just because they have the lowest interest rate.
Right.
And so our financial advisor is like, hey, don't pay off this stuff right there. You've got this stuff that's got these much higher interest rates. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is college is a scam. College is a waste of money. Charlie Kirk said that all the time. He's like, you're paying for this worthless degree, and then you're going to go into this massive debt and expect to be able to pay it off and have a job and all of this stuff. But there are people with master's degrees who are baristas at Starbucks.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with being a barista at Starbucks. But there are people with multiple master's degrees that are having to work at McDonald's, or worse yet, refusing to work, living on unemployment or living off of the government because they are too good. They're too overqualified for this position. No, you're not. No, you're not. You got to do what you got to do, and you wasted money and time going to college.
Well, so I went kind of down a rabbit hole with this segment, Degree and Dumb. I think this is sound information, but there are some people that are wondering, and this isn't the first time I've heard this. I believe it was Jeff Younger that said this. He was like, he said, yeah, don't necessarily go into the trades. They're funneling everybody into the trades, and he thinks that is a conspiracy potentially. And I may be putting words in his mouth in terms of when the AI is going to go after the trades, and then we're all slaves to the universal basic income and that sort of thing. And so I heard that months ago. But listen to this, because there's evidence out there to support that that's true. Here's a random lady on TikTok, and then her name is Kelly Hatcher. I've never heard of her, but this is what she said, and then I researched it, and it looks like what she's saying is largely accurate. Listen to this.
So you're telling me that HVAC, plumbing, electrical, all of those blue-collar companies are being bought up by private equity. Do I have that right? So now that we caught on to the scam that is college, we are all sending our children into the trades in hopes to one day have them be able to have a better life. But there will be no opportunity for said children once they're done because private equity will have cornered the market. Do I have that right?
Yeah, you do. And it's actually worse than that. I mean, not only would the market be cornered and, your kind of an artificial ceiling set for a lot of these people, you're also now in a perfect position to where these private equity people that just love to destroy companies once they, try to cut corners, that they'll replace everybody with humanoid robots to do your plumbing if that technology is ever readily available. So I find this interesting, and I think it's something that we need to be aware of. So I did a little fact checking on what she's saying, because I was like, okay, is that really true? Or is private equity really going in and buying up small town businesses? This is just from Boise, I guess Idaho news outlet. Private equity firms are snatching up many longtime Boise area HVAC companies. That's one headline. Here's another one from the Dayton Daily News. I'm assuming that's in Ohio. Private equity firms buys Dayton's home services companies, or buys Dayton home services companies, meaning plural.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And home service, that's talking about plumbers and electricians, all of that.
Everything. Now we have this one. Now this is from Medium by Edmund Edmund Thorne, private equity's Florida takeover. So we had one in Idaho, one in Ohio, now Florida. Private equity's Florida takeover, why your AC, plumbing, and rent costs keep soaring. This was the most compelling article that I found. Private equity firms bought homes, then bought the companies that fixed them. Now many Floridians are paying the price twice. It's from the Florida News Network. When the air conditioning quits in July, most Floridians do not have the luxury of shopping around for days. They need cold air. They need it fast. That urgency has become big business. Over the last decade, private equity firms and institutional investors have poured billions into Florida. First came the housing market. Investment groups armed with cash snapped up thousands of homes and turned them into rentals. At the same time, another trend was taking shape. Those same financial interests and their competitors began buying air conditioning companies, plumbers, electricians, other home service businesses. The result has left many residents asking an uncomfortable question: are Floridians paying more to live in homes owned by investors and then paying more again when those homes need repairs? Florida's population boom. Anyway, my point is, it is happening, and it is another example. I mean, I guess we could rename, get a segment. We need to get a middle class or war on the middle class segment, because that's also, you can put all of this under that umbrella. And I, you talk about us covering stories sometimes that are not necessarily. This is one of those stories that is not getting covered.
Well, we've been hearing it for a long time, Paul. That you're like, hey, don't go to college. Go get, like here in the state of Arkansas. And I'm assuming that they have this in other states, but you can get a dual license in HVAC and electrician at the same time. And so the guy that works on a lot of my HVACs is dual certified, and he's also an electrician. He's phenomenally qualified, and he's so helpful because he has that dual certification. Now, he's just an independent guy. He's just a one-man show. But there are a lot of these that are companies, and we've got several big ones here in just our local hometown. And you've got all of these things. You've got all of these things that are all of these companies that might have 10 employees, 20 employees. Some of them maybe have 50 or 100, but it's still a mom and pop, right? There's one guy that started it, or lady, and they started it and they grew the business, grew the name, all of that stuff. Well, then that person, their business has become extremely attractive to these private equity firms, and they're going to bring in this large money, and they're going to say, hey, let me buy you out. I'll pay you to still work here and run it just like normal, but you don't have to have the stress of making payroll. You don't have to have the stress of you're paying your mortgage payment or whatever it is on your building. You don't have to pay for any of that. If your equipment breaks down, I will take care of all of this stuff for you.
Yeah.
But I want to be the owner. Okay, well, now they come in, and then they start changing stuff. And then they start jacking up the prices, and they're ruining that HVAC technician's good name, so much so that he gets fed up with it and leaves. It's a story that's been told 1,000 million times here in the United States, and is going to continue to be sold. And I think that's what her point is we're pushing everybody away from college into these trades.
Because, as we said earlier, college is a scam.
Correct. So you're pushing them into these trades. Well, then what's money always going to do? It's always going to figure out a way. It's kind of like all these people that want to put all these taxes on these billionaires, and you're just like, you think that you're going to just pull one over on a billionaire? They didn't just happen upon $1 billion, folks. They earn that money because they're savvy, they're cunning, maybe a little bit ruthless in some respects, but they're going to find ways around every law that you write. So don't sit here and call yourself that. What you end up doing is you pass those taxes, and it trickles down, and it's on the middle class paying the taxes as they always do. I digress. Back to what I'm saying about these HVAC companies. All of that stuff gets swallowed up, and then their price goes through the roof because now they've got profit margins to meet. They're running this place like a corporation rather than that mom and pop that was running it and saying, hey, you know what? I'm just not going to charge this little old lady. She just doesn't have any money here, and I'll just do this. Hey, ma'am, if you'll give me $200 and that's just going to cover the cost of my materials, then I'll get all this stuff fixed up or whatever. Get somebody to, hey, like we got an extra spare unit over there that we pulled out on one. It's working just fine. We replaced some parts. I know you can't afford a new air unit, but I'll put this used one in there. Should work for several years. Should be good to go. That won't happen with these private equity firms.
Not a chance.
They're not going to. They're going to look at the bottom line. They're not going to look at the human side.
You're
of
exactly right, and I talked about that. I mean, this happens all over the place. I talked about this with Anita Tibau about the Delta Dental and the billions of dollars in business they're doing in California, and it's just like there's no way they're doing that much Medicaid business. There's just no way they're doing that much business. It just seems like. But I've talked to people that go into these corporate-owned dentists. Maybe they haven't been to the dentist in a while. They go in there, man. They are not treated like human beings. They are treated like cattle, like sheep, man. And that's what private equity does. It dehumanizes, sucks the soul out of everything. Mm-hmm. So ridiculous, so insane, man.
Well, and it's because we can villainize them all they want, but they've got stockholders. A lot of these, they're answering to a bottom line. They're running it like a business. In a lot of respects, there are good things that they do. They create industry, they create jobs. But most of the time, with especially with these private equity firms, they're going in and buying a well-established business, and they're just trying to make it more profitable, which is at the expense of the consumers, which is exactly what those articles were pointing to.
I want to remind everybody that the Paul Harrell program is powered by the Healing Veterans Project. For those of you that don't know, this is a charity that I am pushing because I'm a part of it. It's something that a friend of mine, Matt Troy, a veteran, founded and asked me to help with, and I am doing everything I can to help veterans because it's not. I mean, there's a lot of veterans charities out there, folks, and they do great work. This is a very specific charity, and it's easy to understand, especially if you know anything about red light therapy. Red light therapy is a scientifically proven therapy to reduce your pain, reduce your inflammation. It can help with sleep. It can help with skin rejuvenation. It can keep you from surgery. It can help you recover from surgery. You can do everything, and you can go do the research for yourself. It's called photobiomodulation. It is proven what the red and near-infrared light does to your mitochondria. It's a very simple charity. We have a list of veterans that have been prescribed red light panels by their doctor, but they can't afford them because they're not cheap. They're medical-grade devices, and they're not cheap. The VA doesn't want to cover them, so this is where Healing Veteran Project comes in. The VA may want to cover pharmaceuticals like Vicodin and opioids, but they don't want to cover this. It's just the way of the world right now. So go to healingveteransproject.us if you want to help a veteran heal by getting access to red light therapy. We're going to put a panel in their home, a doctor-prescribed panel in their home. And if you have a business or you know of anybody that has a business, a point-of-sale retail business, we want to partner with them. We want to give their customers the opportunity to donate. And if you're interested in that and also interested in that business receiving a marketing fee after partnering with us, you can email me, paul@healingveteransproject.us. That's paul@healingveteransproject.us. So, Paul Harrell Program powered by Healing Veterans Project. Now, in other news on the show, this is a tragic story. I don't recommend. Well, Rob, you actually have seen this. But
I saw the video. I saw what he was doing to himself, and I wish that I hadn't.
So Perez Hilton, many people don't know who this is, or they've maybe forgotten who Perez Hilton is. He kind of rose to fame in the aftermath of Paris Hilton and all of her, slutty ways and everything, slutty celebrity ways. He was kind of a celebrity gossip columnist, based his whole personality around being gay.
Flamboyantly gay.
That's who he is. But anyway, last night, as I was trying to go to bed or trying to prepare to go to bed, I looked on my feed, and all of a sudden I see, oh my gosh, Perez Hilton may have just killed himself live on a TikTok video or on a TikTok live.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we found out that he did. Well, you actually saw the video.
Yeah, I don't think when the video that I saw, he had not killed himself.
Correct. No, he is now apparently in a had a psychotic episode and was picked up in an ambulance.
So here, I'll just describe this for you without being graphic as much as graphic as I can be. So imagine this guy there. You see him on your screen. And so he was without his shirt. He was without his shirt. I don't know if he had bottoms on because it was kind of cut off, and I don't know what he was wearing down there. But he was without his shirt, and he had a knife, and he was continually slicing his own body, his face, his chest, his arms, everything, and it looked like Carrie after the pig's blood was dumped on her.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what he looked like. And it was like 2 minutes long of what I watched, and he would cut himself, and he would go, and it was
a lot of people. I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
You say don't see it, so I'm not going to.
Do not. If you're one of those people that sees the stuff and then you're just like out of morbid curiosity, I just searched him on after you had said that he had killed himself, and I was just confirming the story, and then I saw that in the feed and it said graphic, and so I clicked on it. And I wish I hadn't, because I was trying to go to bed when I was watching that. So anyway, it was just I've thought about it multiple times, and it was very, very cringy. Obviously, I don't have a single solitary thing in common with Perez Hilton. I can't imagine, other than we're human beings, we're children of God, and it was extremely obvious that he was either one of two things: demonically possessed last night, or he was going through a serious mentally psychotic break.
Potentially drug-induced.
Could be drug-induced. We saw that many years ago when they were doing the bath salts, and those people, the zombies like in Miami that were eating people's faces while it was just disgusting stuff. But anyway, so this happened last night, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I can tell you with complete certainty, if he survives all of this, which I think he's probably will survive it, because those those cuts, although they were doing damage and causing him to bleed, they weren't extremely deep from the ones that I saw, but he is absolutely 100% permanently scarred. His face is all hacked up, and it was just disgusting, man.
The last I heard from this guy, and I hadn't probably heard from him in 10, 15 years, and then all of a sudden he comes out a couple weeks ago and says, maybe not a couple weeks ago, but a couple months ago, I don't know, what does this post say?
Yeah.
So weeks before Perez Hilton was seen harming himself during a TikTok live stream, he tried selling Christian merchandise to help pay his hospital bills. So he started saying he was trying to read the Bible. He made videos about it kind of seemed like he was close to the kingdom, honestly, if what I remember seeing is correct. And so people have been praying for this guy. I know they have. And because he seemed like he was about to become a Christian, or maybe he has claimed to become a Christian. I don't.
Yeah.
And then so for this to happen, it's just one of those things where you're just like, my goodness.
Yeah. Again, I don't know that I have a lot in common with him, other than we're both human beings on the face of this planet.
I don't know. That doesn't look like Christian merchandise to me. What you see there.
Yeah.
But
well, and he's openly gay. And I just don't know. I don't know anything about him other than just I've heard his name, and I know he was a celebrity blogger. He's got this gossip website.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. I'm looking at it here. Yeah, so PerezHilton.com. So it's just PerezHilton.com, and it's just celebrity gossip about that stuff. So it was a tragic thing, and again, just do not watch it.
Do not watch the video. If you hear anything that Rob is saying or anything that we're saying, do not watch the video, whatever you do. Yeah. So now it's time for Trans Women Are Men.
What a segue, Paul. Lord.
Biology, chromosomes, reality. Trans women are men. For this edition of Trans Women Are Men, we go to the world #1 women's tennis player. She goes by the name of Arina Zabalenka. She's a lot of fun to watch. Of course, I'm a big tennis fan. Yeah. I really don't like women's sports at all. I obviously prefer to watch men play tennis because it's so much
faster.
Chauvinist. But if I had to watch a women's sport, it would be women's tennis all day long because it's competitive and a lot of fun to watch.
Well, and it just goes to show the difference in the men and women's sports, and that's what she's going to be talking about here. But it goes back to what Serena Williams said a long time ago, and that is she's like, oh, if I were to play the 200 ranked person in the world, I would look like, she was saying she would lose. And in fact, her and her sister did play doubles against two men, and they lost badly. But to Serena's credit, she's like, yeah, we would look. It's a different game. They hit the ball harder. They move faster. All of that stuff. It is a different game because of biology, not because men are better. Because of biological differences. We were the hunter-gatherers. We were the providers. We are the protectors, right? So our bodies are built for this. The women are the nurturers, right? Their bodies are built to nurture, and they can feed a human with their own body. We can't do that, And so there's just differences. Men are not better than women, but there are differences, and when it comes to sports, men have advantages.
So here she is, Aryna Sabalenka, being asked about this question. What do you think about it? I'm sorry. Let me run this back and actually activate the Rumble audio.
Hi. The WTA recently announced that the players will take a one-time gender test. How do you feel about that? The first pro league to go in that direction.
I think it's really important to keep the fairness in our tour, and it's obvious that biologically, right, the men are way stronger than women, so I feel like it would be not really fair for the women to compete against biological men. So I believe it took them a little while to make this decision, and I support it. But for me, I'm focusing on myself, on my goals, whatever it takes. If they want to test us all, I'm happy to do that. It's pretty fair, and let's keep it that way. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Trans men are women, Rob. Trans men are women.
Trans women are men.
Trans women are men. Sorry.
More importantly here, trans women are men. Because, listen, if you're like people are throwing up the fact that in high school Sophie Cunningham was a kicker for their football team, and so they were like, "Oh, I thought men and women's sports are different." Okay, you're being disingenuous.
Yes,
you're being completely disingenuous because you know exactly what we're talking about, and that is the biological differences between men and women, and how men, in terms of athletic stuff, strength, power, speed. Fast twitch muscle fibers, all of those things, the men have an advantage. So if a woman can compete with men in a men's sport, that's just a bigger compliment to her, okay? And Sophie was she was a good kicker, apparently. I haven't done a whole lot of research on it, but you had all these people trying to show all this stuff. I think it's so incredibly refreshing that the number one player in a sport is saying what she's saying. This is the equivalent of Serena saying this, 15 years ago. But at that time, the world was just starting to get crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so at least with all of this gender ideology stuff. And so she is the right person to come out and say this. And I hope that other organizations follow the Women's WTA, the Women's Tennis Association. I think that's what it's called. I hope that other organizations follow this, other sports leagues, because, look, if you're a biological male, I don't care how many, hormones or hormone therapy that you're on or whatever. If you're a biological male, you have an advantage over women. Bravo to her.
100%.
Trans women are men. They are men with some mental illness, and they need help. They don't need coddling and cheering. They need help. I've said it before on this show, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. We do not cheer other mental health disorders. We don't. We don't cheer. Oh, yay, you're clinically depressed.
Right.
You know what? Go ahead. You be you, girl. You just lock yourself in that dark room. You just don't leave your house for 7 days. You don't shower for a month because you're clinically depressed. Oh, brave you. We don't do that. We don't embrace and celebrate someone's anorexia. And we certainly don't give them surgery to affirm it, right? I know I've said this so many times on the show that our regular listeners are tired of hearing it, but it's the exact same thing. Gender dysphoria and anorexia nervosa are both mental disorders, okay? You are seeing something that is not truth. Mm-hmm. You are seeing something that is not a fact. And an anorexic person looking in themselves in the mirror, feeling like they're overweight, even though they are skin and bones, it's the exact same thing as looking in the mirror as a biological man and saying, I really feel that I'm a woman. And gender is just a social construct. No, it's not. When you actually want me to treat you like a woman, you want to use a woman's bathroom, you want to dress with the women, you want to compete with the women. This is not just you having a gender construct here and different from biological sex. They want to draw the difference between biological sex and gender as a social construct. No, because you're taking the social construct and what you're saying is, I'm actually a woman. That trans women are actually women. That's what you're trying to say, and that's what you want me to say because you've got your damn pronouns here that you want me to refer to you as she, her, when you've got a male, I almost said it, you've got male anatomy swinging between your legs, and you want me to call you a she? How dare you? I'm not going to live in your delusion. And if you've got tennis players that are biological males that are competing against biological females, then they have an advantage. And it's naive to not agree with that. It's what it is your sort of your mentality, your ideology is so rotten that you've gone so deep down the rabbit hole. Adam Carolla had a great tweet today or yesterday or something. He's like, we've spent the better part of a decade arguing over what the difference between a man and a woman is.
It's crazy.
What the hell?
Wow. That's actually nuts to think about.
What have we done here?
I mean, I know that's true. That's obviously true, but it's kind of wild when you think about how much time we've spent on something that is just so basic. It's like if you get this issue wrong, like, I question every other decision you've ever made in your entire life if you're getting this issue wrong.
Well, I can't. I said it yesterday. I was like, I can't have a rational conversation with you if you're starting off in fantasy world. That's right. If you're starting off saying that a man with male anatomy just because he's been taking some hormones is actually a woman. And you're saying, well, it's because they identify that. That's how they identify with gender. No. But you want me to treat them like a woman, like biological sex? No.
So this is the second day in a row where we can also build on this segment. So yesterday we played for you the segment of Pat McAfee, Aaron Rodgers taking politics, Anthony Fauci being a criminal against humanity, taking it kind of across the Rubicon, criticizing ESPN while on ESPN, by the way, as well, but taking Fauci's crimes and crossing this sports ball Rubicon, crossing into the sports world. And what a big deal that is. It's a big deal when our message, which is derided as a conspiracy theory, actually gets promoted by what's considered neutral territory, even though we know it's not neutral. But sports ball territory is actually very left-wing coded, but it gets to try to claim to be neutral when it's not. Big deal when our message gets across.
To your point, and just think about ESPN. Again, we talked about this yesterday. Pat McAfee I think he is now the highest paid person at ESPN. Stephen A. Smith is the second highest paid. And they both had... Stephen A. Smith is addressing it directly.
Yep.
Pat McAfee
it's just allowing the conversation.
Was allowing that conversation, and these are two of the two most watched people on that network.
Yeah. So this is Stephen A. Smith speaking out against the transanity.
This is not about being anti-anything. This is about being pro-girls, pro-females, pro-women, pro-ladies. You can't be a male, born a male, transitioning to female and think that you should have the right to compete with women. Not in basketball, not in football, not in boxing, not in the UFC. Hell, not even in tennis. It's an aberration when you find somebody like a Serena Williams serving 120 miles, 25 miles an hour. That's ordinary for Jokic or Jokovic. That's ordinary for Sinner. That's ordinary for Alcaraz. That was ordinary for Sampras, Agassi, and all of these guys. We got to stop this. We got to stop acting like somebody that's speaking up on behalf of girls, like a Sophie Cunningham, like a Riley Gaines, are scourges of the earth. You are Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx. That is an irresponsible thing to do. You are a coach for a female basketball team. Do you not think that the females are being screwed over if they have to compete against an individual born as a male? What are you talking about? Nobody said you can't transition from male to female. The issue here is competing against the women. That's what Sophie Cunningham was talking about. That's what Riley Gaines is talking about. How are you, Coach Cheryl Reeve, and you could condone that? And then you're going to come out with a T-shirt. No regard for the WNBA. No regard for the sponsors that may be put off by that. No regard for the bottom line that might be affected because of a position that she has taken that you know is going to be politicized. Because that's what you did. No regard for that whatsoever. How is that okay? How?
I could not have said that any better. Stephen A was cooking, and I'm glad you let him cook right there because he is 110% right. And it's so refreshing to see this voice because he is a powerful voice in the sports world.
I mean, he's got his haters, but yes, there's no doubt.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There are people on both sides of the political because he gets political. He gets political. He's got a podcast that he does as well where he's even talked about that he might run for president. I don't know how serious he is about that. But I'm going to tell you, he's a liberal, but he's a moderate. He is very much a moderate, and he just proved that right there. He's not one of the lefties, the lefty lunatics. Now, he says he don't like Trump, so whatever. But I'm not saying I would ever vote for him, but I wouldn't be nervous if he was in office. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be, oh my gosh, Bernie Sanders, which we didn't even talk about how Bernie Sanders is heading toward the center. Mm-hmm. This dude's heading toward the center because those Democrat socialists have left him and AOC behind.
Yeah, so is Fetterman. Fetterman may even switch parties.
Dude, that guy has come around, and Bernie Sanders is never gonna. I mean, he's an independent. Bernie Sanders is an independent, but that's because the DNC screwed him over against Hillary. We all know that. But anyway, Stephen A. Smith, again, perfect people to be talking about these issues. And I love how passionate he is, That's how I get fired up about trans stuff. He's so passionate because what are you talking about? And he's asking the head coach of a women's basketball team, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
I just got one critique. I mean, I thought it was great. And again, the phenomenon of these, conservative messages, breaking over into this world is very much needed, for relevancy and everything else. But he said it's not. One of the things he said is it's not that you can't transition from a man to being a woman. You just can't compete against women, and that's where I think he misses the point. I'm just saying, like, I get it. What he did was great, but from a liberal standpoint, that's the caveat. That's the qualifier. Yeah. I'm not saying that transgender people are wrong to believe they can't. Well, this is why the left will never get on board with that because he's saying it's not that you can't transition from being a man to a woman. You just can't compete against women. Do you not see how that statement is a contradictory statement? If you're on the left and you actually believe that you can change your gender, which you can't, right? So he's supporting supporting a lie. He says, but we don't want that lie applied to the reality of the W in the WNBA. What does the W stand for?
Women.
Right. So, and Nancy Mace made a video about that, by the way, that I didn't pull.
Yeah.
That's my only critique. But beggars can't be choosers in a world where, again, ESPN in the sports world, they try to claim that they're neutral. This is a place for sports, but it's all left-wing coded.
Yeah, so this is his podcast because this is the one that's on Sirius XM, and he does all of this stuff. So I think he gets a little murkier there when he goes on, but people listen to him, of course, because he built his name on ESPN. I agree with you on a lot of respects there. That's a contradictory statement because we know that men cannot be women,
right?
But I think ultimately what his point is if you're an adult, you can do whatever the hell you want. But don't come over here and act like you're a woman and compete in women's sports because you were born a male. There's no way in the world that in my heart of hearts, that I believe that Stephen A. believes that a man can ever truly be a woman.
Right.
But he can't say that.
Right.
He can't come out and say that because then he's completely a conservative right-wing lunatic and talking about the actual realities of biology. Mm-hmm. Gosh, perish the thought.
Perish the thought. All right, a follow-up segment to what we talked about yesterday, because on Mark Wayne Mullen, I want to read these two stories back to back, right? And I really like Brianna Morello. She's got a very interesting story that we don't have today. That's about this man. She's got death threats against her. She had some foreign man follow her into an apartment in Texas.
Morello has?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's got a whole story about it. Maybe we should cover it tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe.
But she said basically she got him on camera. This happened a while back. She calls the cops. He's following her into her apartment. She's got her dog, walks up the stairs. This is all on video now. All the video's been released, and he wants to pet the dog. She says, leave me alone, goes up. He still keeps coming up. She pulls a gun out that's not in frame, and then he runs away. She calls the cops. The cops show up. They claim the man didn't do anything wrong. They said, there's really nothing that he did that was illegal. It's like the dude was trespassing and stalked her on the street and saw, an attractive woman walking her dog. And, it was very obvious what this man was going up there to do. He was going up there to do, some sort of sex,
I get what the police.
SA.
I get what the police are saying, that he hadn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
But certainly
they
trespassed.
got him.
Can he not be?
They
trespassed?
eventually got him because she was because she's a journalist and she was already, had an FBI letter warning that there were death threats against her. They did fine, but anyway, she had to do this as just an average. Like, if the average person wasn't Brianna Morello, nothing would happen to this guy. This guy pled guilty to trespassing the other day in court, I think, among other things. Anyway, but Brianna Morello reported that sources say DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen is being blocked from interviews. I'm told that directive is coming from the White House. I've reached out to the White House for comment. Now, this was yesterday at about 1 o'clock Central Time, and this is that comment that Mark Wayne Mullen made that I think, again, in the wake, Rob, of the Supreme Court decision on birthright citizenship, this comment makes people angry.
We have naturalization ceremonies every single day in the United States that is, federal government's open. We have hundreds of thousands of people. In fact, we're real close to 900,000 individuals that have been naturalized in the last 12 months. There's a legal system to go through. But if you choose not to even begin or not to change your status, even if you've been here 25 years, I can't help you for that, right? If you have a status change and you're working in your status change, so you overstayed your visa, but you're going through the system to change your status because you got married and you've been married to a U.S. citizen for 4 years and you're going through the family visa system. You have no criminal history. You get picked up and you're in the court system and you've been showing up for your court dates, you're going to be released. You may get picked up, may be detained, may go through that process, but you're going to get released because you've been showing up, you've been going to your court system, your status is changing.
Look, I can't sit here and say that. I know he's talking to the governors or something. I can't say that he's wrong there.
Especially the last part that he's gave that example.
But I can't say that he's wrong, but also at the same time, I'm like, dude, come on. Like, what's going on here? This is not what people want to hear.
I think, you mentioned it yesterday that they're a lot of people are maybe pushing for a moratorium on naturalizations. And I would say, I would think that these are people who have been in the country for a while, or even people that have waited their time outside of the country, and they are becoming naturalized citizens. I think that there's been I think it was an overcorrection of what we saw in the first year, the 4 years under Biden. But I don't know that the 900 naturalizations are a bad thing, because what is the alternative? And that was, under Democrat rule, we've got border jumpers, we've got all of this stuff. I think that people, I don't know. I could see both arguments, because I was about to say I think people should be allowed to come to the country legally if they are not just coming here to escape poverty, if they are actually contributing to the United States. So I would say, okay, yeah, maybe they should be allowed it. But then there's another part of me that's just like, why don't we just keep the people we got and take care of our own?
That's what we got to do right now.
At this point,
it's been an open buffet for too long, both illegal and legal. I'm sorry, it's like, I'm over it. I'm done with it. No, I want an immigration moratorium for a long time until we can figure this out.
Right.
But I know that. Look, I mean, all we can do is scream about that. Now, okay, so I don't know if that's, obviously what we have going on right now in terms of the deportations we do have are more deportations than we would have had in any other scenario, right? So we've got to continue to push and be as annoying as possible, in my opinion. Here is, but this is what's funny. So that was August 4th. Let's see, August 4th at 1 o'clock. Okay, that's the report from Brianna, right? And then you have this tweet from Allie Bradley, from Allie Bradley TV, 1:07 on August 4th, just wrapped an exclusive conversation with Secretary Mullen at the border in the Rio Grande Valley. So again, the initial claim was he's being blocked from interviews, but at the exact same time, he was literally participating in an interview.
I'm going to say a couple things. Look how jacked he is. I didn't realize he was, because he's always wearing a suit.
Yeah, no, he's
jacked.
Testosterone. I think.
Hey,
definitely.
Hey, what if he's just spending a lot of time in the gym?
Maybe. Well, I mean, somebody told me that. Somebody told me that may have contributed to him attempting to fight somebody in a committee.
Listen, I'll disclose. I take testosterone,
that's fine, but you've never tried to assault me.
Well, but I'm 46 years old, and I stay in the healthy level, because our men. It's the cruel trick that our testosterone starts lowering, as we get older. And so, when I'm sitting on the couch at 7 p.m. and I'm like, can't keep my eyes open, and I go, and they're like, well, you have a less testosterone. You're damn near 50, Rob. I'm like, crap. So anyway, I take that. I keep that well regulated. I don't take, the steroids where you're jacking yourself up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Anyway,
I'd look a lot better if I did, I guess.
Just something to think about there. And okay, we already covered Bill Belichick. So that brings me
Listen,
to...
all I'm saying is I would do it. I would do it, No, not for a 25-year-old.
All right.
Maybe a 35-year-old.
Now it's time for fourth. Rob's going to have a funeral when he gets home. I know that
She's
much.
not watching.
Now it's time for Fourth Amendment funeral. Privacy, surveillance, control. Today on Fourth Amendment Funeral, we're going to talk more about flock cameras, but specifically flock cameras combined with your Second Amendment rights. People are noticing that this particular flock camera apparently is facing a shooting range, and it's we'll just watch this video.
So you're telling me
we have seen this debate at other businesses. Now it's happening outside of a gun range.
I had to go to the gun range today, like an American, and tell me why there are flock cameras pointing into the entrance of the parking lot, not the street, into the entrance, so they can read every license plate that comes in here.
Is Google Street View, And here's the flock camera. And if I zoom in on the flock camera, you can see that it's not pointed at the main street. It's pointed at the entrance to the parking lot.
It is.
So the concern is that vehicles entering or leaving the gun range may pass directly through the camera's field of view. So should visits to a gun range become part of a searchable license plate database? Let me know what you think.
So, do you ever think about, like, worst case scenario? Like, do you ever think about worst case scenario in terms of, like, okay, the communists actually do get control, and it's like, we're coming to kill you because you're a Christian, or we're coming to kill you because, like, we're going to take your guns, or what? Like, do you ever think about, like, do you ever legitimately think this could happen in my lifetime? Because I think about it all the time.
Paul, it was already happening under the Biden administration. We saw that the Department of Justice was monitoring. They were monitoring for people who were purchasing Bibles from Amazon. They were monitoring for people who were ordering ammunition online. They were monitoring all of these transactions so that they knew who were potential threats. And who are those people? Those are conservative Christians. Those are pro-Second Amendment gun owners. Mm-hmm. That's who was placing those orders. And so why do you need to know that, Department of Justice? Why do you need to know that? I vote. I'm allowed to vote how I want to. Why do you need to know that I've got a lot of ammunition? I don't give a damn if you're the ATF and you're coming to check to see if I'm doing straw purchases here. I don't care what your motivation is. There's a comical video coming around there where there was a guy, an ATF agent, who showed up to this guy's house because he had purchased like 4 different long rifles. Various whatever.
They killed the head of the Little Rock Airport. The ATF
That's the one too.
raided
his house.
We need to do a whole show on that, or a whole segment on that. That's insane.
But what we saw that in the Biden administration, we saw that the Department of Justice with that ATF, because that falls under I guess technically it falls under the DNI, the ATF. All the 3-letter agencies fall under the DNI, do they not? I don't know.
Yes.
Regardless, but it's a wing of the FBI. And this ATF agent shows up and he's talking to this guy on a Ring camera, and he says, "Hey, we saw that you got these guns. We just need to check that you still have them, and I just need to check the serial numbers, and then I'll be on our way." And the guy was like, "Well, this is really odd. I bought these guns. I passed my background check, all this stuff." This dude says, "Hold on just a second," and he's on the Ring camera. He calls the local police department on the ATF agent. He goes, "Some guy's out here asking. He's trying to get my guns. He wants to just see them. I think he's some crazy criminal." It was hilarious. We'll talk about that more on a different day.
We definitely got to do that. That's fantastic. Want to give a shout out to our sponsors. First of all, thank you for being with us. Want to give a shout out to our sponsors: Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, Pet Club 247, Sheridan Chiropractic, and also don't forget that the Paul Harrell program is powered by the Healing Veterans Project. Make sure you go to healingveteransproject.us right now. Check out what it's all about. We're trying to help veterans by giving them non-pharmaceutical intervention. That's non-pharmaceutical intervention. Folks, it's been a blast. Thank you so much. We'll be back here tomorrow, and I'm going to be way more caffeinated than I was this morning. That's one thing I can promise you. Way more caffeinated than I was this morning. We really do appreciate it. God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.